what's up, y'all? It's Mma Analyst here to do my preview, my predictions video for UFC 113. Ah, man, y'all don't even know. Maybe you do. You do know. You absolutely know how long I've been waiting for this fight right here. October 24th, 2009. What I believe was a terrible decision. A lot of people believe with me. Some people don't. But it's all good. Because the reality is it doesn't matter. What happened, 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago, it doesn't even matter. The only thing that, you can take into consideration is they fought. They did fight. The fighters know more about each other than they did before. They're going to have to do new game plans or whatever the situation is. But that's really all that matters in the sense of the fight. For the fans, it's going to be a he beat him before and he beat him again situation. For the Machida fans, they're going to say he beat him again. He beat him. He beat him the first time, he beat him again. Second guy, for Shogun, he beat him before, he beat him again. That's what's going to happen. Even though it's going to be 1-1 or 2-0 after this fight, in the fans for each fighter, in their mind, it's going to be 2-0 or 2-0. And that's got a lot of little, it's the history, you know what I mean? History, that's a good thing. We need more, even though it's only a half a year old, we need some history in MMA with these fights. Let's get right down to it. Lyoto Machida, 16-0, coming off the Mauricio Shogun Rua decision, where a lot of people say you can't win a fight by kicking the leg. I personally believe you can't win a fight by getting kicked in the leg, but that doesn't matter. He's the champ. He's got wins over Rashad Evans, blasted him, knocked him out. Thiago Silva knocked him out. Tito Ortiz before that, decision. Sokoju, submission. He's been doing his thing in the UFC. Back in the day, wins over Rich Franklin and BJ Penn, way back in the day. Stephan Bonner, all not in the UFC. But basically, Lyoto Machida is Machida. He's been doing his thing, undefeated, looked like a beast until that last fight. People say this guy's unbeatable. You can't even hit this dude until the Shogun fight. And then they said, okay, you can hit him, but you still can't beat him. You know what I mean? So Lyoto Machida's got his black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got a solid sumo background. So he's got like a solid base. And then he's also got, his Machida karate, going on since before birth. And we'll get to that later. Shogun coming off that loss, we know that. Before that, kind of like the lead up, the Chuck Liddell came in, good head movement, light on the feet, moving around, doing his thing, countering with kicks. Just a little glimpse of what we would see a short time later. Before that, looked straight doo-doo brown against Mark Coleman, beat him just barely. And before that, his UFC debut, F all the excuses, dude looked like the worst and got beat. And then he got choked out. It is what it is, but clearly the Shogun that has shown up recently is not the Shogun that showed up at the beginning of the UFC. Before that, had a massive, about a year maybe, year and a half of pride. Alistair Overeem, Kevin Randleman, Rampage, just smashing people, stomping people, kneeing people, breaking people, kicking people. Crazy. But in the second fight, there's going to be a little bit of a situation here. And the situation is who's going to be able to do what. From the first fight, I can guarantee you two things. Number one, Shogun came out of the fight confident as hell. It's guaranteed. He felt he won the fight. His corner felt he won the fight. I had the pleasure of talking with him, through translator because he don't speak English that well. But he told me he didn't feel in danger. He didn't feel hurt at any point in the fight. He thought he won the fight, etc., etc., etc. Now, Machida may say something. He may say he wasn't, in true danger or whatever, or that he thinks he won the fight. But we know what happened to his body. We know what happened to his ribble. I like putting like AL or OL, his ribble area. I know it's just his ribs, you know what I mean? But his ribble area. We know what happened around there. It was all reddened up, beat up, his legs jacked up, laceration on the lip. You know what I mean? We know he came out of the fight beat up. And he had never been beat up like that before in a fight. So, what does that mean? I know that Machida's got something in his head, and Shogun's got something going on in his head, and they're not the same. They're not the same. What about changes? Shogun came in his last fight more controlled and game planned than we have ever seen him. Before that, he was either brawling or doing ridiculous flying, spinning, crazy kicks and jumping through the air and all types of craziness. This dude should have been in a circus. And in this fight, he comes out for 25 minutes and throws leg kicks and controlled and completely different fighter. He can change. He can decide to get a little bit more aggressive. He can decide to do things a little bit different. Machida's been Machida since Machida was born. He's been Machida since before he was born. Lyoto Machida was, Lyoto Machida karate when he was in the womb, when he was conceived. When his dad was 20 thinking, I'm going to have a kid and he's going to be karate. That's how long Machida's been Machida. And he's been successful. No losses. His competitive background in karate is good. He's been successful. This guy's a winner. All from, surrounding his base with other good stuff. So, in the end, he's got some sumo here. He can stuff takedowns. He's got a good base. He's got good balance. He's got power. He's also got jiu-jitsu if it does go to the ground. But the main thing is that Machida karate. And he's been doing that since he was thought of. And to think that he can just decide to change who he is, see, Machida is. That's the thing. He is. He is Machida karate. Lyoto Machida is karate in that sense. Shogun is a fighter. You know what I mean? So he can change how he fights. Machida can't change how he fights. He can't come out more aggressive because that's not who he is. So in this second fight, what I see happening is for Machida, I see the same thing happening as what happened and worked 16 fights before. Machida doing Machida karate mixed with MMA. But for Shogun, I see him doing what worked in the first fight with implementing some new stuff. And if you take what he did in the first fight and you implement new stuff or a little bit more of aggression, Machida can't win. If you take Machida's leg kicks and you add some next step type stuff, then I'm not really sure how Machida can win this fight. With that said, Shogun needs to not punch. He knows, his corner knew, his training camp knew. Keep kicking, keep the leg, keep working the leg, because Machida doesn't counter off kicks like that. So, is Machida going to come back now and start countering off kicks? I don't know. Is that going to open him up for something else? What if he goes kick and then to punches and you in the middle of count? I don't know. I'm just saying I'm picking Mauricio Shogun Rua to nobody's surprise, but I am picking him by third round TKO. There you go. Josh Koscheck versus Paul Semtex Daly. Josh Koscheck used to be just a wrestler with cardio. Now he's a wrestler with cardio who thinks he can box. No, I'm just playing. He can stand on his feet, and he's definitely improved a lot on his stand-up. But that's not what this fight is about. This fight for him is not about improving in the feet and trying to knock somebody out. He has to know that. He's coming off of his win over Anthony Rumble Johnson, a win before that over Frank Trigg. And then not too long ago, he was out there trying to knock somebody out and got knocked out by the most badass dude in the UFC, Paulo, Special Elite Forces, Thiago. Just put that weed down. Brrr. Oh, damn. y'all don't know. Yikes. But anyways, you don't want to mess around with that kind of situation with Paul Daly on the feet, especially if you are light years ahead of him on the ground. Paul Daly, on the other hand, out of his 23 wins, 18 are by knockout. Dustin Hazlett felt it last. Dude came in, was like, bow. That looked like some good form. Y'all don't want to see me on the pads. That's actually about to happen soon. I might even tape that before I leave this weekend, so y'all can see the pad work. But anyways, this ain't about me. It's about Paul Daly in his hands. Paul Daly gets submitted when he gets taken to the ground. It is what it is. Jake Shields, not like he's your average dude, but he raped him quick style. Katalka, also not average on the ground, but he also beat him first round submission. I mean, these are back in the day type stuff, but you know, 3 more submissions before that. Out of his 8 losses, 6 have been submission, and none of them were standing guillotines or anything like that. So take this dude to the ground and you can win this fight. Stand on your feet and you're gonna get knocked out. This is not something hard to figure out. Paul Daly, unless he's been working stuff and takedowns like it's nobody's business and not necessarily practicing with Dan Hardy, he needs some work of his own, then Josh Koscheck needs to go out there, throw 1 jab and a double leg and keep that fight on the ground and get out of there in 3 minutes or less. And that's what I think he'll do if he's smart. If he's not, he'll get knocked out in 3 minutes or less. But I think even though he wants people to believe he's, you know, he's a wild man and all that stuff, I don't think he's all that wild. I think he really wants to win. I think he realizes that a win is more important than a knockout, especially if it's his own ass getting knocked out. So I'm picking Josh Koscheck by first round submission. Next fight, Sam Stout versus Jeremy Stephens. Sam Stout looked like a monster in his last fight. He came out like on the feet. He came out, he was actually, you know, had a little bit of issues in the first round. I don't know if Joe Lozon gassed or if he just turned it up, but it didn't matter. He was killing him. He was just perfect combinations. His corner man calling it out nonstop. Hey, yo, do this. Bam, bam, bam. Do this. Bam, bam, bam. You know, body, head, boom, boom, boom. Head, boom, boom. Jab, hook. I'm like, wow, he's just listening like, this is crazy. But these two have been a team for a long time. It's not something that you can put together overnight, but it don't matter. We got to see it that night. You know what I mean? That's a fight where you got to watch with the volume up. You know what I mean? So you can really be like, he's really just listening to everything he says. Anyways, out of his 15 wins, 8 are by knockout. He's coming off the win over Joe Lozon and a win before that over Matt Wyman. Fight of the night, his last 2 fights. Jeremy Stephens, a lot of people think he showed up after that Rafael Dos Anjos uppercut from hell. He's been in the UFC since, you know, mid-2007. He lost to Dean Thomas by submission. But he's coming off his knockout of the night over Justin Buchholz, or Buchholz, or however you want to say his name. Gleason Tebow, he lost in that fight. The same Joe Lozon that Stout beat, he lost to. That doesn't really mean much. I'm just saying what it is and also stating the obvious. But and then obviously the knockout over Rafael Dos Anjos. This is gonna be a stand-up battle. If you know, like, this is definitely, if the Shogun fight, if the Shogun Machida doesn't like end up being the striking, you know, battle I think it will be, then this could be a fight of the night type of thing with 2 guys standing up doing the thing. Bam, bam, bang, and bang. You know, just a really good technical side from Sam Stout. A lot of crazy punches from Jeremy Stephens. And in the end, I'm actually going to take Sam Stout by a decision. Decision or maybe 3rd round TKO, but most likely decision. Kimbo Slice versus Matt Mitrione. I'm going to keep this short and simple. Kimbo Slice is getting knocked out. For any of y'all who watch the videos, y'all know I like Kimbo. As a dude, you know, no homo. I think, you know, he came from the street, did his thing. He's training hard. He's training for real, training in a real camp, rededicated, you know, his fighting life to... But all that doesn't matter. The reality is, I don't think he's only 34. I think he's older than that. I need to see that driver's license. His knee's jacked up. You know, in the house, his knee was messed up. You know, you don't just grow cartilage. He didn't have surgery, so the knee's still jacked up. Matt Mitrione can kick. Matt Mitrione has knockout power. Kimbo still fights like this. You know what I mean? Short as hell. Makes himself 3-4 inches shorter with the stance. His hands are below his chin. Like right here. He's real stiff. Real, like, just not... His elbows are out. He punches with his whole upper body, which normally is good, except for the fact that he doesn't even turn over the punches. I'm going to show you guys, like I said, on that bag. Y'all don't even know. Anyways, so he's sitting here doing this. They say drop your head, hide your chin. He looks like he does a squat. Instead of just tucking his chin, he drops his whole body. Matt Mitrione is going to knock him out. Not because Matt Mitrione's all that great, but just because Kimbo Slice, his stand-up is really bad. And that's that. Alright, Patrick Cote versus Alan Belcher is the last fight on the main card. Patrick Cote coming off like 19 months of inactivity, 2 surgeries, and a loss to Anderson Silva. That's a triple whammy. Unless that was 4, then that's a quadruple whammy. I wasn't counting. But before that, he had a great run. A win over Ricardo Almeida, Drew McFedries, Kendall Grove, Jason Day, Scott Smith. His last fight was in the Ultimate Fighter finale to a loss to Travis Lutter. Powerful striker. You know, he's pretty much he's good with his hands. You know, he's got some pretty good groundwork. He's kind of like, you know, he's been in the game for a while. He's not really amazing at anything, but he's pretty... He can handle his business pretty much wherever the fight were to go. He'll be fighting Alan Belcher. Alan Belcher is kind of like he's the more technical, refined version, if you ask me, of somebody like Patrick Cote. Alan Belcher's got really good technical striking. He really does beat you on the feet or on the ground. He's got 5 submissions, 8 knockouts out of his 15 wins. A lot of people thought he actually won his most recent loss, which was a split decision loss to Akiyama. I thought he lost the fight, but you know, it doesn't matter, I guess. Wilson Gouveia was his last fight and his last win. Before that, he had a win over Dennis Kang. He had a win over Ed Herman before that. He actually lost to Jason Day, beat Caleb Starnes, beat Sean Selman, lost to Kendall Grove, beat Jorge Santiago, and beat Yushin Okami in his UFC debut back in 2006. In this fight, I mean, I think if it were a situation of Patrick Cote and Alan Belcher going out and exploding in that first 2-3 minutes, then I think Alan Belcher loses the fight. I think Patrick Cote catches him with the shot, knocks him out. If Alan Belcher can go out there and fight more like you know, a good game plan, try and drag this out into the second round, third round, try and be the more technical striker, keep moving, you know, striking and then out to the sides, then I think Alan Belcher will win the fight. But I guess what I think is going to happen is I don't think that Alan Belcher is going to be reserved like that. I think he's going to come out, he's going to get involved in, you know, a war, a battle, you know, just a big explosion at the beginning, and I think Alan Belcher is going to get caught and he's going to get knocked out. On the undercard, I've got Joe Dirksen over Tom Lawler, Marcus Davis over Jonathan Goulet. My official pick is going to be Johnny Hendricks over TJ Grant, but inside I feel like TJ Grant is actually going to pull this off, but I'm just picking Johnny Hendricks. I'm not sure exactly why. I guess that means I have to pick TJ Grant. I guess that's what it means. So I'm picking TJ Grant. Tim Hague over Joey Beltran, Yoshida over Mike Guyman, and I'm picking Jason McDonald over John Salter. UFC 113, lots of Canadians on this card. They called every Canadian back. They would have had one more, David Loiseau, but he had some issues, and now he's on the 115 card. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, Mother's Day, you know, blah, blah, blah. My mother doesn't live in the same city as me anymore. I moved away. Gonna go see her this weekend. See my family, whatever, whatnot. I think I got like a baby shower thing too for my wife. Anyways, my review is gonna be a few days late. Like, well, maybe 24 hours late. Sunday night. I like to get it out, Sunday morning, Saturday, right after the fights, but I'm not going to be able to do it until then. Enjoy the fights, y'all. MMA, it's important. Peace.